Hey yo there, what do you hear? What do you say? Um, I initially had the idea of trying to make a game in Python initially. I was going to do Godot, but then I sort of realized that'd be a bit too complicated right now, and I have a lot of commitments currently, so it would just be unfeasible at this point in time to basically make a game in Godot. But I figured I have some familiarity with Python, so I'll just make a quick game. Um, yeah, no, I think one of the sort of humbling things about coding is that you sort of realized how much you know is just it's just nothing really. Like I had the sort of idea that I was sort of competent, that I was sort of, beginning to sort of figure my way around things, but then I sort of realized there's this whole sort of aspect to things that I just don't really understand. So I thought I would be able to like make like a relatively simple game. So for example, the game idea was basically it would initially started off as something like I thought that would be extremely simple to code. It was basically sort of like you have like a simple arithmetic question, just some basic one, like I don't know, 5 times 5 or something like that. You get the question correctly, and then you play as like a circle, and it's basically like a sort of like Flappy Birds, basically, sort of analogous to that. The ball basically goes like sort of up and down, and that sort of, well, it's not really a ball, it's a circle. So it just goes up and down with respect to the obstacle, and every 10 courses that you clear like 10 obstacles, you get like another arithmetic question, and it increases in difficulty, right? So maybe there is like another operator, maybe you put in a power, maybe you start introducing other stuff. That's the best sort of basic gist behind it, right? And it's nothing revolutionary. It's nothing particularly like, out there. As far as games ideas go, it's not a particularly good one, right? But that's not really like the point. Whenever you're sort of making a game first off, you should expect it to be bad, right? The first anything, right? You should expect it to be bad. When's the last time that you did something initially and you just immediately excelled at it, like no difficulty, no hardship, no nothing, right? It's almost never the case, right? Pretty much anything when it comes to anything like worthwhile in life, right? It's going to take some level of difficulty, some level of like initial discomfort. So you just sort of have to put yourself out there and just sort of realize that, okay, well, I'm just gonna have to, take my chances and just do what I can do, right? So I tried to make that game and I failed pretty miserably. I would try to load up the game, there would be some error. I would try to load up the game, there would be another error. It was just a cacophony of like issues after issue after issue. It was really something else, to be honest. Seeing all the problems that they faced, and it sort of maybe it's sort of empathetic more for like indie game developers. Um, Even though like I have a strong aspiration to be one, I'm not like sort of like like deluded, right? It's going to be very very difficult to be able to sort of like being able to make games consistently and also trying to make an income from games. I think that's going to be like a very 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 difficult goal. But I think I'm just gonna have to keep at it. That's all I can do. Just try to find like some time period out throughout my day where I can just revise and just sort of like um, focus on a given task in particular, right? Just revise this topic, just sort of understand it, right? Just sort of, okay, well, how does this work? How does that work? Just sort of breaking it down topic by topic, right? And yeah, so I tried that, and then I sort of realized the day's getting like a bit long in the tooth. So I thought, well, okay, maybe I should sort of like. There was a part of me initially that sort of thought about packing it in, but I promised myself, I swore to myself that I would be publishing 2 videos a week, 2 videos a week, no matter what. And I think I've sort of realized that like when you sort of conceptualize your goals as instead of something that you should strive towards, instead just think of them as necessities. You should think about them the same way you think about breathing or the same way you think about eating. It's not something that you negotiate. It's not something that's just done, right? Like it's not done in polite society to sort of say, well, I just don't want to eat anymore, right? You're not a child, right? Like only children get away with saying something that's stupid. If like you were an adult, you would either, I don't know, maybe people would like assume that like provided that your mental health was stable, obviously it goes without saying, but you shouldn't say things like that. It's not proper, right? That's how you should think about your goals. You should be thinking about them as ironclad, and that's how I sort of like began to approach mine. I just don't think of them as the sort of things I can sort of like negotiate on, right? Um, so I was sort of just sort of I was feeling a little despondent, truth be told, because I wasn't really sure how exactly I was going to resolve the situation. Because I said I was going to do something, right? And then I sort of, well, hang on a minute, and I don't know why it never occurred to me before, but I just sort of like, um, I was like, I looked initially for like, okay, well, what do like simple games that are similar to my game look like in Pygame, and I just typed that online. But then I had another realization: why don't I type in educational games? And it just hit me there like a ton of bricks. Um, Educational games, open source, obviously it goes without saying, and I find this incredible resource of just these, of like these just a massive amount of educational games, simple, easy to understand, right? And it's almost like the first result. But the thing is that I think this is a real treasure trove, right? This is it's fantastic, right? So, for example, I'm just going through the list, right? Art and design, right? One of the games is a game where your attention to detail can earn you a lot of coins, right? So it's like, okay, so there's some particular trait that you want to improve on, and you get some in-game reward as a result of it. You get Pixactly, kind of a play on terms of for exactly, obviously, and it's a pixel test to quiz your knowledge. The Boolean game, learn how to use Boolean operators, which is extremely useful in computer science. There's a couple articles as well. And there's computer science, of course, right? There's a tower defense game called Flexbox Defense. Only the unique selling point is that you have to position your towers using CSS, right? Incredible. There's editors. One of them's like an interactive Vim tutorial. There's maths and computer science. There's guess the correlation. It's basically like correlations are very, very prevalent in statistics. They're sort of seeing like the relationship between two variables and how one variable impacts another. And you basically, there's this game called Guess the Correlation. Try to guess how correlated the two variables in a scatter plot are. And there's a absolute huge amount for programming. So there's Box 256, programming a fictional CPU with assembly to output graphics. There's Coding Game, a challenge-based training platform where you can play with the programming topics. Deadlock Empire, solving puzzles with current currency. Absolutely incredible. Now, I have no doubt that some of these games are probably not going to be very fun for a lot of people. I have no doubt that in my mind, right? But that's the thing, right? Every single idea starts somewhere. Everywhere you go, right? There's always going to be that initial growth period where you sort of look at things and you're sort of thinking, well, there's not really much going on here, right? It really could be like a little bit better, right? But the thing is to keep in mind, as always, is that everywhere that you start a given thing, right? It's not going to be ideal. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be great, right? Because right now, like, look at these videos, right? When it comes to like the quality of them, it's terrible, right? It's literally just like 3 GIFs just moving around, just making sort of like some sort of like pleasing animation, but it's not really anything to look at, right? Now, I intend to start learning Manum. I intend to start using sort of like animations. I intend to start making my own games, right? That I can sort of use and interact and make them like higher quality, right? These are all intentions of mine, right? But the problem with me is that I can't do any of those things until I become more disciplined, until I become more focused, right? Which I will. But that's the thing, right? We all have to start somewhere, right? And I can think of no better way to sort of end the video off is by reciting a set of principles by a man that I don't know the name of, but he made a philosophy called The Cult of Done, and he exemplified 12 principles that I think are absolutely wonderful, and I think every single educational game designer, every person who is in the creative arts, who wants to be extremely productive, should keep in mind, right? So the first principle is that there are 3 stages of being: not knowing, action, and completion. The second is to accept that everything is a draft. It helps to get it done. Number 3 is that there is no editing stage. Number 4 is pretending to know what you're doing is almost the same as knowing what you're doing. So just accept that you know what you're doing, even if you don't, and do it. Banish procrastination. If you wait more than a week to get an idea done, abandon it. That's the 5th idea. The 6th is that the point of being done is not to finish, but to get other things done, right? Stop just focusing on this one given thing and just get other stuff done, right? You're not focusing on this task because you love it. You're doing it because you need to get other stuff done. You're a busy person. You've got a busy life. Life is short enough as is. You can't go wasting it around on any given task that just occupies your mind. You've got to let it go, right? Once you're done, throw it away. Don't be nostalgic. Don't contemplate. Get it done and over with and move on to the next thing, right? And 8, and this is one to especially keep in mind, laugh at perfection. It's boring and it keeps you from being done. Number 9, people without dirty hands are wrong, right? Doing something makes you right. Number 10, failure counts as done. So do mistakes. Number 11, Destruction is a variant of done. If you get rid of something, right, that counts as something as done, right? If you're done with something, then you're done with it. Then you've done it, right? In a sense, right? After a fashion. Um, if you have an idea and publish on the internet, that counts as a ghost of a done. And the 13th principle that I almost forgot, but honestly, it's probably the most important one. Done is the engine of done. Once you've gotten one thing done and another thing done and another thing done, it's 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 more powerful than anything, right? Because you've started that momentum, you started building it, you've started moving forward, you've started it, right? How many people can claim that they've started it? Not many, right? Not many. So yeah, on that note, I just want to say I am exceedingly happy that I found this resource and I tend to use it to the best of my capabilities. And yeah, all the best, and I hope you have a great day.